computer. All right, we're recording. Jan and Abel here. And so
Hello.
so we're talking about this amazing acting workshop that Avel's going to host on Saturday, and she was asking about um, the the what value essentially can be brought to the JFH community, is especially given that her traditional acting training, if she's in a class or seminar, that's normally going to be 3 hours, and we're saying, hey, like, anything that's an hour that's short and fun and people learn something is a win. How do we bridge those two worlds? So I just want to start recording this because the concept of the majority of people that come to JFH are essentially saying, hey, I've created a character that's really kind of like myself, and then dot dot dot, and then the sentence
Mm,
continues. So if we keep that in mind, then we can tailor our training in general to helping other people tell their story better, and that includes both how you utilize, like, tools like a camera phone, to how you wield the discipline of acting, and how do you truncate aspects of that discipline and of your learning into bite-sized amounts that somebody could say, if that you could say, hey, here's some foundational stuff, and here you go, and we'll of course record the session on Saturday, and we'll share it with the community and put it on YouTube, so that there's we can kind of look at this as a scaffolded learning process, so that every time you potentially host one of these things, you can build upon the last one, and that way people can keep on going back and be like, oh my god, like Avella is really, you know really, like, taking my hand and walking me through, like, embodying a hero that's actually me, and now I feel like I can channel things inside of me that I didn't even know were there, and that to me is
mm.
an amazing value proposition. And so, I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to mind that I wrote down was that when you're so for these heroes that are coming, that are developing, most likely developing characters based on themselves personally, that's very introspective and then also very heady. So there's a lot of
Mm,
living here, right?
mm,
And so one of the things about being an actor is you can't stay too long here, because there are when you overthink, you sit on impulse, that can kill a scene, you know, just right there. And it doesn't keep you present. It doesn't make you, it doesn't allow you to be present in what's happening, either with a scene partner or with, the story itself, if you're just kind of overthinking everything, right? And
mm,
now it's interesting though, because if you've got a hero that's doing a story, let's say, and it's just them, there is no partner work really, so they are the storyline, and there's no bouncing, off with another partner, another scene partner. That kind of changes the dynamic and the energy as well. But if people are creating characters based on themselves, that takes a lot of bravery too, and courage, and to share. And we may know or not know if this is based fully on fantasy or based, on some kind of real life, um, experiences that or traumas or whatever it is, good and bad, positive or negative, that helped create these, we'll call them alter egos, right?
yep.
So I think that, when there's a lot of beauty and authenticity that comes out of being vulnerable, but you have to be wanting and able to be vulnerable, and also displaying something that you've created that feels very personal to you, that takes a level of vulnerability. And so my thoughts are that, maybe we can run through, like, I had wanted to do, a physical warm up, the way you would warm up for exercise. You're going to warm up to do acting. Same thing physically. I mean, most of my acting, classes have been physical. there's been some kind of physical energy, get yourself in your body, open up, let the channels flow, and let things really try to get, feel grounded and sink into yourself. There's like, in theater, for like theater production, there's facial things you can do to really let the muscles of your jaw and your face relax, things that you can do to help articulate the sound of your voice, because you want to be very clear when you say things, and that's one thing too that heroes are going to learn by creating their own content without being mic'd up, is they're going to, if they don't have access to a boom and this, and, I don't even know all this stuff. I know there's a lot, but, you're going to need to be, you're relying only on either your earbuds or the mic. So, things like that. There are a couple exercises that help break the ice and help people, help actors get comfortable being open and sharing. So that was kind of what I was working with, this idea that we'll do like a physical warm up and a little bit of like a vocal warm up, kind of, facial warm up, and then go into these exercises, things that I've learned from this theater director I work with, and also the Eric Morse technique. And then I can offer some insight into how to find authentic emotion in a scene or when working on your character, and offer any insight into building a character. A lot of, like you said, a lot of these heroes are pulling on their own experiences creating, and maybe some people are wanting to create something that's completely outside of their who they are and the life that they live, because it's their fantasy and they want to create someone new completely.
I think there's a lot of value in the concept of the alter ego giving you permission to do something that you wouldn't normally be able to do on your own. And if there's anything at the core of what like all the work that we're doing is, it's the concept of being able to find something inside that actually helps you become a better person and better for the world. I think overall, and that goes beyond Justice for Hire, but into like my startup company that's helping to build the technology to support this stuff. So however you think that whether it's modeling, and you're the expert on the acting, but I'm in just in terms of the concept of picking attributes that you might wish that you had as a person, and how to potentially channel some of those. That to me would be an additional value.
Like how to tap in.
Yeah, like how to
in.
identify and tap in, because I think to a certain extent, many people might not even know how to identify the things that they feel. That they may not know that they're like, you know what? I wish I have not stepped out of myself before. And let me step out of myself and be like, okay, well, that's me now. What is the ideal version of me, or what is a new version of me that I would like to see, that I want to embody, and how can I draw upon that and bring that into my character, so that I'm practicing. I mean, and practicing being that. And I think that might be, to a certain extent, we're talking about the results, or our hopeful results of this entire experience versus the actual experience that gets to that result. So I think that the experience that the kids are, and that I'm personally seeking from something led by you, is something that says, okay, wow, hold on, I can access something inside of me that much more clearly, and I can figure out how to pull stuff from outside into me and use it before, and I didn't know how to necessarily do that before, or I have a better understanding of how to do it now than I have had in the past. And if we do that right, I feel like the results are going to be, hey, like I actually feel different as a person, because I've been creating this content as this character, and this is fun, and wow, like Like I didn't realize I could do that in real life. Like I'm me. I'm making fictional content, but it's actually changing the way I feel as an actual person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really interesting result, especially because I think for the most part we're dealing with non-actors. And when I've done scenes myself, I like, while I have studied acting, I would not consider myself like an actor by trade by any means. And so when I've had to do very intense emotional scenes, I feel those scenes affect me for days.
Mm-hmm.
So and I would assume that the more training you have, the stronger you are with essentially being able to go enter that experience and then walk away from it unattached. Um,
Well, I think
so
that might depend on the person.
depending on the person, yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah, I mean, yes, probably. I would say that, but I think it does. I mean, look at,
Versus someone who doesn't train. That's what I mean.
yeah. Well, the first person I think of when it comes to that is like Heath Ledger. You know what I mean? Someone who had a lot of experience doing varied degrees of skillful character portrayals. And some, say that think that his commitment to the role of the Joker is what took him over the edge. You know what I mean? And that it was, but that he was already, a darker soul with issues, that going so far deep into that character work, he was unable to come out of it. And that's why he was, addicted to all these things. So it's interesting though, because it does. And that's something that I can talk about, kind of just brush over the schools of thought in terms of how to tap into and how to communicate with your emotions, um, because there are varying schools of thought on what's safe for the person and what's not,
Mm.
and how you should attempt to roll in, and that circles back to your point about people developing these characters, and the fantasy and the wanting to have a, maybe there's a really subdued submissive person who wants to be more authoritative, and they want to be more confident, and they want all these things, and they want to be able to, like, walk up and get in someone's face if that's what they feel, and they feel that anger. And then how to, like you said, detach from that in their real life, and not save it for the safe space, but be careful not to let that take over you, on a personal level in the outside world. There is these like boundaries, that you have to figure out for yourself. I experienced that also,
I
so
think we'd appreciate your guidance in that as well, in just you sharing any techniques that could be helpful at creating those boundaries. And like we are doing something that is, I think, on one side, people have shared skills for, that's how we evolve culture, but we're also doing something new in the sense that um, if everybody has access to become a character, what does that actually mean for the world? And how do we help people filter out the things that could be harmful and integrate the things that could be helpful? And so I'm interested in your thoughts and your evolving thoughts, because I think that's there. Like we'll both, and I think our whole team will evolve over time in terms of how we think about this. But I'm interested in your evolving thoughts on how to best articulate the skill sets and to create to hopefully create that filtration system where it's like, these are, I want to embody this thing, but this thing is only for this space, but this other thing that I'm embodying is actually really helpful to me, and I need to bring that more into
yeah.
my life, and that's cool too. And that I think goes even beyond acting and more so into just like living. So keeping us focused, fun acting short, it's gonna be great. But
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I want to bring something up before I forget. It's a little sidestepping, but I had a thought on the last meeting that I attended, and I wanted to bring up to you. Uh, there, so fully aware of everything that's going on in the world right now and everything that's happening with, movements for Black Lives Matter, with defund the police, and, addressing police brutality. And so that, there's been a lot of talk around implementing non-police teams,
Mhm.
non-emergency teams that can come in to address situations that have to do with homelessness or like severe intoxication or mental illness that don't require the police to handle, so as to, maybe hopefully, put a stop to this, like these situations where there's always needs to be a police officer for everything, you know um and so I was imagining the how that could fold into the whole, storyline within Justice for Hire, because essentially that that could be a huge role for a hero to do, to be someone that can be responsible to a community, to come in and say, oh, well, I have, I have a degree in social work, like I know how to handle somebody that has is having some kind of mental, or I'm a psychiatrist or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And be part of a bigger picture community, bigger picture, so that, police can focus on emergency situations where they need to be, where they're best utilized, where their powers and what they offer are best utilized. And then, community and other community situations. So that was just something I want to bring up, because I had thought about it, how that could be an interesting, because that's a really poignant topic right now that people are talking about. Like San Francisco, I think already is implementing a community task force to help with situations like that. So I thought there would
That's
be an interesting.
that's awesome. I mean, I think that we're, obviously we've been doing this for a long time, and in terms of developing like the concept of justice for hire, and we started shooting way before, that this became culturally
Yeah.
relevant. Um, so I think we're well positioned right now in terms of our own maturity, even though we're still, in the beginning stages. We're also a few years into it. So I think that however we can share our message of, and this goes back to Star Trek. When you fictionalize solutions, people start thinking differently about the actual solutions. And so,
Right.
we have a cell phone because of Star Trek. We have a bunch of other technology because of Star Trek. And so I think that if
Oh, really?
yeah, absolutely, that the
I didn't
cell
know
phone,
that.
yeah, it came from sci-fi, specifically from the Star Trek show in the 60s. So
Amazing.
I think that we've been really intentional with the concept of fictionalizing solutions to real world problems, and I think we've also been very cautious about how we approach that, because there's just so many moving parts right now, and the last thing we want is somebody getting hurt because the JFH told them to do something. So
Yes, 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 yes.
it's been a delicate balance of what we've been asking the community to do, and I've said this before, but we've never asked anybody to shoot action, for example. um, we've presented like story scenarios, but we've never said go and solve this scenario with violence. Like that's not how we're really looking at it, and that's coming from me, who has fought professionally, and like as a pro martial artist, I think there's, if we can consistently offer a platform where we are identifying the challenges and then rewarding people by saying, hey, go and create a story with your hero that you've developed, with potentially even with some guidance from us, from Avel, from like the Justice for Hire challenges that help you tell your own story. um, and now I can, that this person, this hero, can go and make a story about something that is happening potentially right now in culture, and say, you know what, if this happened in my town, this is how I would handle it. And that to
Mm-hmm.
me is like really interesting, because now we're bridging the gap between superhero storytelling and real world impact. And that to me is like really where we need to we need to hyper focus is saying like, hold on, like forget about superpowers for a second. Like the power's in us. How do we channel that power through our actions, and then like, find interesting solutions to challenges. And that solution for one person might be, doing parkour all over the place, and climbing up a building, hopefully with a great crew around them, like of safety, like
Yeah. Yeah.
reinforcing it. And somebody else might be helping an elderly person cross the street that needs some help. Um, so I think that yeah, as long as we leave it open for the community, but help guide and direct them, from the standpoint of, here are the tools to help you find yourself more and tell the
Yeah.
story, I think we're going to be golden.
Cool.
But anytime, I mean, the fact that you're following all of that defund the police stuff, and all of these shifts happening, it makes me think about, actually really asking you to potentially create some what we call missions that you might, and we can talk about this another time, but things that you might actually want to send heroes out on, because we're in our app that we're testing now, we have the ability for clients, but also other heroes to hire or to create missions for other heroes to go on. So essentially, you're creating the story prompts to get other people to start
Oh,
creating missions.
okay. Cool.
So I would love it if you just kind of kept, some notes on your side of like, this is a challenge. Like I'd like to see this solved, in a particular way. Here's another challenge I'd like to see this solved. And if
Okay.
you just kind of start taking notes like that, that'll be massively valuable within the coming like weeks, honestly.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Yes, will do. Um, okay. So I guess I think I have a pretty good idea. I'm gonna iron some things out, but I think I have a pretty good idea about how I see this flowing. I I guess it'll be dependent on time too, but like, are you opposed at all to me maybe introducing the idea of like working on a little monologue, or like if somebody wants to bring something to the table that they want to share, like anything like that? I mean, I definitely want there to be an interactive
Mm,
approach to this. Like, there's going to be an exercise that I'm going to add, that I'm going to explain, that's called personal inventory, and like mics on, everybody talking to themselves, not like shouting, but like, and
wow.
everybody there talking at the same time to themselves, not,
Wow.
yeah. So, that's one exercise. And it really does also help build a sense of the community bond, the bond between everybody. Um, so I guess we could play with time, but like I have a small little, monologue that people can work on if they want, and share, and then and perform, and to each other, for each other. I mean, that's what I did, in the last acting class I was just in. And so, um, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I love the mics on, personal inventory, because when I started Tai Chi class, we take a quote unquote inventory of the body, in terms of aligning and softening, releasing any unnecessary tension.
Mm,
So I think that's really really cool, that you would use that language. And I think any type of interaction is great, that you feel is constructive. And if we know what you're, or if you want to ask for something from the community to show up with, for the kids to show up with on Saturday, then that's something that the sooner the better. We were going to do a post today about your Saturday event. So if there's anything that you want to say, hey Jan, or maybe you want to take like an hour or so, or a couple hours, and like kind of think it through a little bit more, and then say, hey, you know what, on the post on social, put these things, um, and like that would be pretty awesome.
okay. Yeah. Let me think about it. Yeah. I've got an idea for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think something like even if it was like a quick, um, share piece of their character, but memorized. Like it has to be memorized. You know what I mean? Not
Like the
reading off a
like
script,
the one-liners before.
like a one-liner, but it's going to be a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
they share something, a personal story of their character. Now in acting classes, typically like, well, like in the Eric Morris technique, you share personal stories of yourself. Me, Avel, I share a very personal story of something that's very impactful to me, you know? And again, depending on how many people are in the class, you know, maybe that's something that we could do too. And that also helps a person open and become more vulnerable and more open to authentic emotion, you know? And then move the next step into, okay, now your character. Okay, you have your scenario. Share with us that now that we've kind of opened up and we've done some of these, like talked about some of these techniques, and it can be posed as a if you want type of thing. And if nobody does and nobody's ready for it, that's also fine. You know what I mean? But if
Yeah.
somebody wants to put that work in and they want to share,
I think that's super compelling. And I think that it immediately makes me as a fan, because I constantly have to take off the hat of like, producing JFH and put on the hat of like kid that I'm producing it for, meaning me. Me when I didn't have any friends that wanted to make stuff that was awesome and epic. If I put that hat on and I'm just like, oh my God, they want to know about my story and my hero. Like, I get really, really amped. So I think that's pretty compelling. And also as a note, one of the things that we consistently say on our hero meetups, that you probably heard before, is in character and out of character, like specifically that terminology. So however you can integrate that into, because we really want the community to know the difference. And even in our app, there's a functionality that lets you chat between in character and out of character. So I think it's super important for people to know when the story's happening and when it's actually just like them, their real self, that they don't want to play right now. They're not playing right now. I think that's super important. So
okay, so what I'm going to do is give me a couple, and I'm going to write out more clearly and specifically what I would like to invite heroes to bring to the workshop, should they like, around the subject of a character monologue revealing an intimate story. So we're not talking like my name is Hexagon and I am da 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 da,
cool
like
name. Hexagon.
Hexagon. But like
Hexagon.
but like something, share a story that was an impactful part of who they are and how they became who they are, type of thing, maybe.
That's
I'm gonna work on the verbiage.
So what would be great for us, two things, and I think one could be for today, and then the other one can be for, let's say, Thursday or something like that. But if you could send like a headshot, that would be great. Like, or some sort of
My
photo.
headshot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like something that we can kind of professionally frame you, saying
Sure.
like, okay, here's Avel, she's a JFH hero, but also like here's her, like, again, like we'll throw some graphics on and they'll be great. But then like just a short video of you actually inviting the heroes.
Okay.
Like I think that would be like something under a minute that's super simple, that just says, hey heroes, this is happening. You're invited to do this with me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. I think that'll be great.
Including you mean like an invitation just to the workshop, or an invitation including the character monologue?
I would maybe shoot two different versions, but I think that's whatever we're inviting people to on Saturday, you can quickly kind of go through it and say, hey heroes, like it's we're on for Saturday, inviting you to this acting workshop to help you with your characters. We'll go over these things and it'll be great. And those things could include the ability for you to bring your character monologue and I like a soft suggestion.
Okay. And Okay, so what was the thing that you wanted tonight?
No, if you just said a headshot, that'd be great.
Okay, okay. And then you said Thursday for the video?
Yeah, Thursday for a video, but headshot tonight.
Okay,
And Thursday we would put the video out. So like, I mean, as soon as you can get the video, that's great because then we
okay,
can throw some like some branding on it. But I think that
okay.
um, just having that quick, just having knowing what to put in the post tonight in terms of anything you might want us to ask for in the
On the
text.
post, okay,
Yeah, that would be
okay.
super helpful.
Headshot with text, with word, okay, with text,
Yeah,
okay.
well, with like we can write the copy that'll go on social, but like specifically the items that you might be asking the community for, saying
Got
like,
it,
hey, bring something about your character in
okay.
character, bring something in character, bring something out of character. You know, it could be like that. So
Yeah, okay, cool. All right, very good.
thank
Will
you so
do.
much. This is
You're
so
very
so
welcome.
amazing. I'm so grateful for it. I think we're all
This is
super grateful.
getting me out of my box. That's for sure.
Well, I went to it's definitely I think it'll have lots and lots of impact for lots of people. So thank you so much. It means so
Oh,
much for all
well,
of us.
thank you. Thanks for instigating, for inciting the creativity,
Oh
because
man.
quarantine, man, it can be really numbing.
Yeah.
It's good. Poke and
Well,
prod a little bit, but
let me
well,
know if
thank
you.
you,
Yeah,
Jan.
thank you. If you want to train, like I said, we'll be on in 20 minutes. Otherwise, like I'll just reach out to me tonight and we'll put all the posts up.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much. All
Thank you.
right.
Love you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.